Okay. Oh, so are we? Are you actually? Oh, I might. Okay, got it.
We are as of right now, yes.
Okay, cool.
So we've got a minute
Erica.
and 20 seconds.
We like to watch.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Mitchell, you're live.
I'm Mitchell Levy, global credibility expert, and we are at the most exciting time of my week, and that is interviewing someone who is cool, or in this particular case, super cool, and learning their values, where they come from, who they are. And I am so excited to have Arika Clark Alejo with us today. Hi, Arika.
Hello, thanks for having me.
It's as we spent a teeny bit of time in the green room. I'm going to say it is truly my pleasure, and I'm looking forward for others to get to see and experience you. And can we just start off with who are you?
Yeah, super excited to be here. I'm like ready to get this conversation going. I'm just like excited to be here with you today. So, my name's Arika Clark Alejo, and I don't know. Some days I feel like a jack of all trades, and so I am a business owner. I've owned my own business for the last 22 years and done a couple different things in that time. I'm a mother. I live in Chicago and really just somebody who's wanting to make a really big impact in the world and believe that I can do it just by helping one person at a time. It's like that ripple effect. And that's sort of just my overall mission in life is to help people think bigger, do bigger, and take action.
Nice. I am, by the way, it just so happens at this moment, there's somebody cutting a bunch of trees outside of the office.
Huh.
So if you hear background noise, um, let me know, but we'll try our best to ignore that. What a great opening. Of all those things, what sits in your heart most?
I would say helping other people. Like I'm a people pleaser at heart, and worked very hard to try to not please everyone, but to really help make an impact and to give and to do for other people.
Hmm. Yeah, I felt that. And I also felt that the credible nature of you just showing up prepared and ready to go. Tell me about being a mom.
Yeah, it's difficult. My daughter's almost 14. She's so amazing. She's just this incredible human being, and but it's interesting, like trying to run a business, trying to be a great role model, trying to do all the right things, and still, just being human and just like it's imperfect action every day. I think that's motherhood. I think that's parenthood in general, but just trying to show up and do my very best every day. And when I'm not at my best, apologize to my daughter and just say, look, I'm human and I'm trying and keep moving forward. But motherhood's been an interesting ride.
Has motherhood affected in lessons you learn as a mom, I know for me, in lessons as a dad, has that affected how you show up for your clients?
Oh yeah, I would say for sure. I would say for sure. I'd say like I feel like I've learned through this time of being a mom of just like having more patience, having a little bit more like maybe compassion for going. I think before you're a parent, I'm not gonna speak for everyone, at least before I was a parent, um, there was a lot of like assumptions like, oh, everybody should behave this way or do this thing, or why is it not happening? Then when you have a kid, you're like, oh, I have no control over things that happen. And I think that learning that has made me more powerful in working with my clients. Like it's really like about their agenda. It's about the things that they want. It's about their experiences, and they're an entity of their own, and it's not my way is not always the best way. So I really believe in like collaboration. So it's like I tell my clients like to co-create with them, and I think that because of lessons that I've learned, and I've never really thought about it, but as it is, it's like lessons I've learned through parenthood that have allowed me a little bit more in that space to be collaborative. I'm an only child too, so let me just say it was a very hard lesson.
We uh, we have an only child as well, and it was. I'm so glad I asked that question because I think you put into words probably the salient lessons. Right here, if I'm summarizing, it's not about me. It's about them, and it's not about what I want, but about what we want that we've co-created together.
Yeah.
And I know that may be obvious for many people. It wasn't obvious for me always throughout my career. Yeah.
It's a hard lesson. I mean, right, as a parent, I think it feels like it should be this innate thing. You put this child, this being before you, and it somewhat happens. But when you really think about it, you had to make all these intentional decisions to like put this child before you and do these things. And then it becomes second nature, I think. But in the beginning, you really do have to consciously sort of do it. I think it's like a philosophical thing, but
No, but it affects who you are. And it just reminds me because I'm running into those people who are about to be parents. And I don't know about you. I just remember when when my son's 24, so it's like we got an extra decade on you and your daughter. And I just remember like right before, even months up to the time in which Duncan was born, people would say your life will change. And I just, it was one of those things that, yeah, sure, of course, right? And I thought, no, it's not going to be different. Right? It's good, and it just, the best way I could explain it was, the most important person in my life was my wife. If one of us had to step in front of a train, it'd be me. And all of a sudden, this new baby is born, and we both looked at each other and said, by the way, I'm saving him first.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a different concept. You know it, like you understand, like, oh, parents' job is to protect their kids. But then when you're in it, I know it's just something like magical and special and a little bit crazy.
Now, in our green room conversation, you mentioned something that was exciting to me, and also you showed up. I'm going to say on time, but you showed up 7-8 minutes early, which to me, by the way, when you're on somebody's podcast, that's on time. Um, and and when we started talking about it, you go, well, why wouldn't I show up on time early? And how could I possibly show up without being prepared? Where did that come from for you?
Yeah, great question. I would say probably my father, because he raised me into, I mean, if you're on time, you're late. But I can't always say that carries over to all aspects of my life as we're like running out the door, right? I have this other human being with me that doesn't allow for that. But I would say in general, just the way I was raised. I was also raised to be very professional. Like, you give courtesy to other people, you respect other people's time. And I think that natural person in me that wants to give and do to other people, and I want to please other people. It's about respect of their time. And so I try very hard to be on time or early when I can.
So was dad always on time, early?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Like 10 minutes, it was a standard. If you were less than 10 minutes early, you were late. And I cannot say I am that punctual in other aspects of my life, but in business, it's very important to me to be that way. Like, it's just something that's like, it's a non-negotiable, because I feel like I want to show up as a professional. I want to show up as, with respect for your time, and I want to be able to make the most of our time. So I feel like I just don't understand how it's not a norm for everyone.
Well, you and I can have you and I need to have I don't understand how it's not norm party. Hey, tell me about some other values you picked up from your dad.
I think really it comes like respect of other people, being professional. And I think just like showing up, like, I want to say showing up prepared. I mean, I think those are his big lessons. Like everything we've talked about in the last minute. I mean, those all come from my dad. My mom has different ones, but my dad, really, that's it. It's like respect, showing up on time, do right of other people, and take care of your family. Oh, and pay yourself first. He always said that. I never knew what it meant. And then I recently read a book by the automatic millionaire, and he kept saying it, and profit first, and they kept saying it. And I was like, is that what my dad meant 30 years ago? He was a genius before his time.
Nice. Well, I think what happens, one of the things I often say is you can't be credible externally until you're credible internally.
Oh,
and I think that's sort of
profound.
That's that concept of pay yourself first is if you don't show you personally the respect that you deserve, how does that emanate out to others?
Yeah. But I think it's hard. I mean, I've owned a business for 22 years. So almost my whole adulthood life, I've owned a business. And sometimes it's hard to pay yourself first. Sometimes it's hard to do those things that seem like you should. And maybe you don't. Like, I wish I would have learned some of those lessons year one in business and not year 15 or not year 20, or, like, it's hard sometimes.
It is. What do you think? Give me an example of another lesson that you wish you learned earlier on.
I would say have more patience. I wish I would have learned, but I think that's what my mother says, is that's why I had my daughter.
I can hear that. How you explained her, and I can hear that. Okay.
Yeah. So I would say that, and then I would say that's probably one of the biggest ones, is like, and just a little bit more to, I've always enjoyed life. Like, it's one of my top values is like growth and adventure. And so I'm like all in for experiences. I've been all over the world. So I feel like I had that, but there was still this part of like, it's okay to just be. In fact, my mom, my stepdad, we were just talking about it this past couple of days of like, chasing the goal, chasing the thing, but you get to the thing and then there's always something else you're always chasing. So I wish just earlier in life, and I feel like I've got to where it's like, I still have goals, I still have things I'm going for, but a little bit more calm and being. And I think wish I would have learned this calm and being 15, 20 years ago. Still been able to aspire, but to just be.
Yeah. You and I sound very similar. Yeah, a lot of who I am today has been the concatenation of all these experiences. It's possible that it's harder to do that without those experiences. Although I do see some younger generation managers, individuals who really are just them today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind
What
of cool.
about you? What lesson would you have liked to have learned earlier?
Oh, it's a great question. I the one that was the biggest one during the I by the way, I did 2 TEDx's, and in each of those I talked about lessons that I had my first mentor out of B school was a hedonistic narcissistic guy who taught me so many bad lessons that took me 36 years to unlearn.
Wow.
One of them was during the .com days, I created a business that was all about me, right? And I didn't realize the importance of leverage and being able to outsource. I did outsource some, but not enough, and be able to expand beyond what is. I did great, and there was not a there could have been when I'm saying this, there could have been more, not in terms of more money. Obviously, there would have been more money as well, but there could have been more in terms of lives impacted.
Yeah.
And that's sort of a way to look at it. So then I ended up being a publisher, which is all about leverage, because you're a servant leader to those that you're publishing. And what I'm doing now is now highly leveraged. That's probably the best lesson. That it's better together lesson is probably the best lesson. Yeah.
That's what I said earlier. I love the idea of co-creation. I use it in some of my marketing because I really believe it. And I'm like, I just want to work with people. I get that I do a lot of building and stuff for them, but I'm like, it's the idea of we're better together. And it's like your ideas, my ideas, we put them together, then what can come about? And I feel like in a lot of aspects of life is like my very close knit group of friends, especially like my business friends. I'm like, I'm calling like, okay, I have a little idea or I have a little something. I need more. And then it's like, we can just build, but it's that idea of like co-creating and co-collaborating is so powerful and can change our whole world.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you. By the way, thanks for the prompt. This is one of the books we published from Dr. Terrence Jackson.
I did that.
and Terry I used to say we would ghostwrite for other people, but what I really did, and he gave me this vocabulary, we co-create together.
I love it.
Right?
I need it. I'm going to go order it when we get off of here.
Well, thank you. He'll be happy. I'll put this link in the chat and tag Terry so he could see it himself. So
yeah.
Now one of the things that you did, I often ask people to do this, is to sort of learn a little bit more about what their CPOP is. CPOP stands for Customer Point of Possibilities. It's a playground you play in where if you can articulate in 10 words or less who you are and how you show up, it's powerful because people then want to opt in. And so you and I were talking, and you took the course and you came up with your CPOP. What is your CPOP?
Yeah. It's impact-driven businesses wanting immersive online programs.
It makes the hair on the back of my spine pop up when I hear that. So thank you.
Yeah.
And it's a great playground, and I run across a lot of potential prospects for you. Tell me more. Yeah.
Well, many businesses, they're knowledgeable in what they do. But when it comes to teaching information, they just throw together a video and handout and call it a course. And so in my 15 years of experience in adult education, I know that it does work to an extent, but businesses that want impact are often only seeing surface level results when it comes to just videos and handouts. So we work with businesses, we co-create with them to transform their content into multidimensional learning type experiences that are interactive and immersive to be able to get their clients deep, long lasting results.
Well done. Well done. I that particular clip is a great clip for you because it shows you, um, it shows who you are and how you show up, and that less than a minute with your CPOP and the Tell Me More is one of those things that, from a co-creation perspective, by the way, the really fascinating part is when you're working with clients, they too should know their CPOP because it allows for a focus. I'm terribly curious about what's a people call it hacks. I don't necessarily like the word hack because it's a negative connotation, but it's what popped into my head. What is a hack, or what is the best practice of creating something that's immersive?
Yeah. I think you have to think about your audience. So the problem with videos and handouts is it only caters to one learning style, maybe two. But when you look at other ways, it's like, how can you integrate all of their senses? How can you integrate all the different ways that people learn into one platform? So I would say for people thinking about like, how do you layer videos and text? You actually do a phenomenal job of it in your program of being able to layer out, here's some video, but also here's text for people that might not catch it in the video. So being able to just layer in experiences and then pull in opportunities for people to practice and learn and to practice in real time. So it has to do with all the science stuff, which I really want to talk about because I love science. I love like the brain and how people learn. I'm not going to go into it, but there's a lot of power in having people be able to, in real time, apply their knowledge.
So it's focusing on multiple modalities,
Yep.
right? So I always think about, those people who learn from seeing, those people who learn from hearing, those people who learn from kinesthetic touching in some way. So multiple modalities. Is there a best practice? Like if somebody's creating something that's like 15 minutes of impact,
Yeah.
what would you recommend?
So yeah, it's interesting. So I get this question a lot, and for me, it's really about how can you have them experience it through play? How can you have them experiences through they're doing and manipulating something? So when we build out these immersive experiences for our clients, we're building out, I'm not going to say they're games because it's not like always games and things, but it's opportunities for people to be able to practice and do things in real time. So one example is I work with someone who does marketing, and we just built what looks like a cell phone and a conversation, a text conversation. And in the middle, we're like, what do you want this conversation to say? And then we give hints of like what's happening in the conversation, all while they're able to play and pick and manipulate the conversation. So we're really bringing them into the experience and not just telling them, here's how the conversation should go, but we're allowing them to participate in that conversation, all online, all automated. So that's what's important. Like, how do you bring them into an experience and not just tell them about something?
And what I liked before, when you said best practices, you mentioned the most important word. Love this, by the way. Or the most important thought is it depends on who you're going after.
Yeah.
Right. So how many times when a client originally comes in the door and you say, who are you? What do you do? This is sort of like that, like, what is the CPOP thing? And when you say, who's your audience? And they go, everybody.
Yeah.
Is that fairly, by the way, that happens a lot for me. Does that happen often?
I would say it doesn't happen too often anymore, but I've sort of narrowed in who I work with. And just so the individuals I work with are usually pretty narrowed down by the time they get to me. But
Got it.
I
Nice.
used to see it a lot.
Got it. All right. So because you're already at an impact-driven businesses. So what does that mean? Since that's part of your CPOP, an impact-driven business from a criteria of a really good prospect for you, what does that mean?
Yeah. So I'm going to say it in two ways. So first is like, we don't build programs for lead gen and things like that. We build for people who are really wanting transformation for their clients. So most of my clients tend to be very heart-centered people. Not always though, but they may be business savvy, but they're like, I want whoever's going to take this course to truly learn this information. And I say that in a way that I think there's a lot of businesses that put out courses and like, oh yeah, we want people to learn. But that's not necessarily the modality. The people I work with are like, we want them to learn at all cost. And they want their students to succeed at whatever it takes, like to get their students results. And it's something different than just somebody who's like, oh yeah, I want to teach this random thing. It just comes across in a very different way. And they tend to be about impact. They just want to make a difference in lives so that the world can be a different place.
Got it. So when a company or an individual comes in that area, they've already done enough where they've narrowed in the audience of who they're actually truly impacting.
Yeah. Most of the people I work with a few people who are like, oh, I want to create something based on what I do, but I don't know what that is. Most of the people I do they're like, I've been doing this. I do it a lot. Now I want it in an online course, or I have an online course, but I really want it to be better. And that's where we step in. So like I said, most of the people that I work with kind of have they're honed into their craft.
What values of credibility have we not talked about as part of this conversation?
Values of credibility, like my own personal values?
Uh-huh.
I would say authenticity, which I know you and I actually talked about a little bit in the green room, but authenticity is probably it. I think you have to be who you are. And I want to help my clients like really be who they are and put their best foot forward, but also not lose who they are. I feel like it's important for me as well, as like I'm showing up how I am. I hope I can say that this is who I am all the time, because I feel like it is. But I think you just like what you see is what you get, because you don't want people to feel jaded and duped and feel like, wow, I was sold this shiny thing and then I got this, or whether it's in your friendships or in business relationships. I'm a little bit playful, a little bit silly. And sometimes when I tell my age, people are like, that's how old you are. And I can tell you my age if you want to know, but I'm like, but I still have a very playful heart. And I think it does come across, and I know, and it's taken me time to accept it, because I used to feel like, oh, I have to look and act different. And sometimes it still pulls me in, right? Sometimes I get into that like scared inner child that's like, oh, I should show up a different way. But then I'm like, well, this is all I got. This is it. This is the authentic Arika. I like to raise my hands. I like to be loud. Like, this is it.
Arika, I love that, because it is showing up authentically. I'm going to say what I'd add on to that is both internal and external integrity. Mm-hmm. Right. It's not just what you show on the outside, but who you are on the inside. And we could feel that energy, that youthful, playful energy, that spirit. I've got one important question to ask, but first, let me say, if people found this fascinating and they wanted to reach out to you, what is the best way to do that?
Yeah, you can find me on most channels. My business is Thrive Epic, ThriveEpic. Yep, there you go. And I'm on all the social media channels as well. My name's pretty unique, Arika Clark Alejo. So if you just literally Google Arika Clark Alejo or Thrive Epic, I'll show up on all the spots.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for that. Based on this conversation, is there a question that I should have asked you that I didn't?
What my favorite animal is and why?
Ooh. Oh, I'm very curious now. Okay. Arika, what's your favorite animal and why?
Oh, I would say the elephant. I just think, like, first of all, I love the color dark gray and they're dark gray, but they're just big and they're loving to their kids and they're like all like want to be together in community. And they're just have this like ginormous presence to them. And I just think that they're just so powerful and so just like, I feel like they just want to play, even though they're just this big clunky animal?
I remember riding elephants in
What?
oh yeah, it was amazing. We did a 2-day track riding elephants, and it was, and as they were crossing like big crevices, places that are scary, I felt so comfortable that I was safe, that in this majestic animal. Yeah, very cool.
Sometimes you look at pictures of them and they just like say so much, right? Like even just looking at their eyes and their body, and you're like, they're saying so much without saying anything. Like, how
Mm,
incredible is that?
mm,
I know, not
yeah.
related to values, but that was the question that came to my head.
I well, it was the most unique answer to that question so far, and thank you. And thanks for being you. This was really spectacular. I really enjoyed getting to see you, learn more from you. And I will say you will be my go-to in your area of expertise going forward. I really appreciate having a chance to get to experience a little bit of Arika Clark Alejo.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I just want to give a plug because I did take your course and it's really great. So for all the people listening, like if you haven't taken it, I recommend it. It was stellar. And I've owned a business for 22 years and I learned tons of stuff and I've been implementing it and I appreciate you. So thanks for having me on today. And
Thanks. Well,
appreciate
coming
it.
from an expert like you, it's even more powerful. So thank you. And this is our CPOP course for those who are interested in joining Credibility Nation. It's just credibilitynation.com. Specifically, if you do it before the end of the year, the prices are going to be much less expensive than they are next year. And then once a quarter, we run the Ultimate Credibility Boot Camp. And so it's just ultimatecredibilitybootcamp.com. And the next one is I don't like giving dates, so we'll just say the next one's in March. And depending on what year you watch this, you can see when in March it is. And I'm excited about the opportunity to spend time with you. I'm excited about, even though I've not seen your product yet, and we will rectify that, about recommending you. And what I want to say, if you're still at this part of the show, it's now time to spread some cred dust. So click on the like button, share with your friends, write down the particular aha moment that was most impactful for you. And we look forward to seeing you at the next episode of Leaders Living Their Values. Take care, everyone. Bye now.